Welcome to the Treasury Update Podcast, Coffee Break Sessions, presented by Strategic Treasurer, the show where we cover foundational topics and core Treasury issues in about the same amount of time it takes you to drink your cup of coffee. I'll be your host, Jonathan, media production specialist here at Strategic Treasurer, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. We are back with another coffee break session today. I am talking again with Christin Cifaldi, Director of Product Development and Analytics at Strategic Treasurer. Welcome back to the show, Christin.
It's great to be back, John.
Today, I'm going to ask you, what is Botnet?
Botnet is a network of compromised devices such as computers, smartphones, or Internet of Things gadgets that are controlled by a malicious actor, often without the user's knowledge. And botnets can be used to perform various cyber attacks.
Okay, I like the name. Can you give me a couple examples of how a criminal would get their botnet set up and infect a network?
Yeah. Criminals would send spam emails or phishing messages, and the botnet can send millions of messages to potential victims, luring them to click on malicious links or attachments that can infect their devices or steal their credentials. And botnets infect devices by exploiting vulnerabilities in software, hardware, or a network. For example, the botnet can use a worm, a type of malware that can spread itself without user interaction, to infect devices that have unpatched or outdated systems. Alternately, the botnet can use a Trojan. This is a type of malware that disguises itself as a legitimate program and tricks users into downloading or running it on their devices. And once the device is infected, it becomes a bot itself or a zombie that can be remotely controlled by the attacker through a command and control, also known as a CNC server. Botnets can use this method because it can amplify the impact and scale of the attack while reducing the risk and cost for the attacker. By using many devices, the botnet can generate more traffic, more spam, and more malware than a single device. Moreover, by hiding behind the devices of unsuspecting users, the botnet can evade detection and attribution, making it harder for authorities or security experts to trace and stop the attack. Additionally, by exploiting the resources of the infected devices, the botnet can save the attacker from investing in their own infrastructure or equipment.
Okay, so a lot of the time we talk about specific attack methods, but this is more of a overall control over your devices and network?
Yes.
Okay. Once it's set up, what are they used for?
Once a botnet is set up, the criminals are controlling this distributed network of devices, and the users may not even be aware their device is now part of this network. And they can go ahead and use those devices to continue distributing malware or ransomware to other parties. Botnets, once they're set up, are used for distributing malware or ransomware. Botnets can deliver malicious software to the infected devices, which allows the attacker to access, encrypt, or destroy data on them. The attacker can then demand a ransom for restoring the data or threaten to expose it online. Botnets can also be used to launch distributed denial of service, also known as DDoS attacks, where the botnet overwhelms a target website or server with a large amount of traffic, causing it to slow down or crash. This disrupts normal operations of the target and can be used to extort money from them to stop the attack. Another example is stealing personal or financial data. Botnets can monitor online activities on the infected devices, capturing sensitive information such as passwords, credit card numbers, or bank account information. Attacker can then use this information for identity theft, fraud, or selling it on the dark web. And botnets are also used to mine cryptocurrencies. So the botnet can use the computing power of infected devices to generate digital currencies such as Bitcoin or Ethereum for the attacker. This consumes a lot of electricity and resources, which affects the performance and lifespan of the infected devices. This is another use where you may not even be aware that you're infected. They're not even trying to attack your website necessarily or hold you up for ransom. They're just using your power, and you won't notice anything is wrong until your performance starts to be impacted.
That's interesting. So a couple methods that might financially impact you and a couple that might just, they're trying to fly under the radar. Yeah. You have any final thoughts on the subject of botnet?
Yeah. According to a report by NortonLifeLock, cybersecurity company, botnets are responsible for up to 20% of all spam emails and 80% of all distributed denial of service attacks at this point in time. Norton's report also estimates there are about 10 million bot-infected devices in the US and 100 million worldwide. Some of the most notorious botnets in history are Mirai, which targeted Internet of Things devices and caused a massive internet outage in 2016, Emotet, which distributed ransomware and banking trojans and was disrupted by a global law enforcement operation in 2021, and TrickBot, which stole millions of dollars from banks and businesses.
So for the people listening, what should they know as far as prevention? What kind of things should they be keeping in mind?
So to help protect your company and yourself from botnet attacks, remember not to click on any suspicious emails. Forward those to your IT folks if you're at work, and if you're at home, you can do a little research to see if it's fraud, or just delete it if it's important. They'll probably get to you. Also, remembering the importance of setting strong passwords and resetting passwords. Periodic scans. Google offers a service where they kind of tell you if your passwords may be on the dark web, and if you see they might, then it's a good idea to start changing those. Also enabling multi-factor authentication wherever possible, without question, that should be on. And then the last bit would be to make sure that your security scans, personal and at work, are set to run on a regular schedule, and that is always up to date.
Okay. Well, thank you. To our listeners, make sure to tune back every first and third Thursday of the month for another episode of the Coffee Break Sessions. Thanks.
This podcast is provided for informational purposes only, and statements made by Strategic Treasurer LLC on this podcast are not intended as legal, business, consulting, or tax advice. For more information, visit and bookmark strategictreasurer.com.